Hello and welcome back to Brentwood, where someone has just tripped over a piece of gym equipment behind us. It is the Alexander Povetkin media workout. We're expecting him in about 5 minutes' time. You can see Tony Bellew and Spencer Oliver. Just tell us, Tony, what we can expect from Alexander tonight. It's probably not going to be what we got with Delphine Persoon the other day, which was a full-on workout. This will be probably not very much for us to read into.
I don't think he'll do anything for you to read into. He's been there, seen it, done it, and he's, you know, there's that much footage of him. He's not going to be bothered what we see here, so he actually might come in and do a bit of a workout. There's still a couple of days to go, and he might just want to shake out a little bit. So, what I've seen of him so far, he looks in really good shape. He looks light, if anything. So I expect him to come in here, try and be a little bit sharp. You know, the feet, just get them ready for warfare, because that's what he's going to go into on Saturday night.
Do you two just want to talk tactics before he gets here? Look, there's a language barrier. He's not going to take too much notice of you two sort of pointing out what he might do right and what he might do wrong. But what do you expect from him? We spoke so much about Dillian Whyte and the way he will approach it. What do you think about Povetkin? What will he do?
I think that Povetkin will go out and he'll try and hold the centre of the ring, and he keeps his hands nice and high. Look, you've got to remember that he's got that amateur pedigree. He knows how to box. He knows how to box on the front foot. He knows how to just draw his opponent in. So he'll be cautious to start off. We want to see what Dillian's bringing to the table, and I expect Dillian will be the same as well. But ultimately, I think what we see from Povetkin is that he likes to work and he likes to try and get inside, and obviously he likes to land that trademark left hook. That's the shot that he's going to be looking for. I think it'll be a slow start from him, but I don't think that he's not the type of fighter that boxes on the back foot. He's a guy that likes to, he's aggressive, but it's educated pressure. It's educated pressure. He keeps the distance right. He takes his time. He'll just be edging forward, and he'll be looking to punch, select those shots. Now, he's also got quite quick hands, Povetkin, as well. He's a guy, and that could be problematic for Dillian Whyte. You know, we've seen Dillian Whyte had problems with Oscar Rivas, who had similar sort of hands. He had quick hands. So something that Dillian's got to think about as well, because when Povetkin's timing creates the speed creates the power, and Povetkin's got all that into his game. He's got all that in his locker, you know, so he'll be just patient. He'll be waiting to pick the shots, shot selection, and then he'll be letting them go, and he'll be looking to land those trade shots. That's how I see his fight game plan.
I don't know if you saw, sorry to bite in if you want to come back on that, but also Barry Jones did a really nice breakdown about the Povetkin overhand right. We all get carried away with the big left hook and how he sort of throws it like a jack in the box, but actually the overhand right is something that maybe a lot of people have forgotten about.
I haven't seen it, but Barry Jones is always spot on tactically with where he goes and how he looks at things and breaking down the fights. What I would say is Dillian's going to be punching down in this fight, and most opponents that Povetkin faces, they're always punching down at him. He also crouches when he fights, so for Dillian, the jab isn't such a big weapon for Dillian. It's just actually a slow jab, and it's a predictable jab, so it's one that Povetkin will just easily evade and come right over the top. What people do underestimate with Dillian, and I keep touching on it, is the body punching. Povetkin won't have felt body punching like it. I don't think anyone's really hit him to the body in his career. Michael Hunter done it a little bit in that last fight, but Dillian will viciously attack the body, and when that left hook lands, I just think Povetkin's going to get a shock. You know, the size difference between the two of them, it doesn't look much when they're standing face on like this and the two of them are side on, but when they turn and come square onto you, the size
it's massive.
Yes, it's big, and
massive.
one is a big heavyweight, one is obviously a heavyweight and has been throughout his whole career, but is on the smaller side of the division. And you know, I think that's what will take place in this fight. That's what will take shape in it. You know, when the going gets tough, you get past them middle rounds. I just think size plays a big factor in this fight.
The main man has just walked in behind you. So what we're expecting is some little bit of a warm-up, a couple of rounds of shadow boxing, 1 round of pads, and if we're lucky, we'll get a word with him. Spenny, just looking back at the Michael Hunter fight, a lot of people reading into that. Dillian Whyte said, don't read too much into it. I haven't really studied it. I've looked at his wins over Eddie Chambers, Cedric Boswell, people like that. The Michael Hunter draw as it was, stuck in there with some tough times. There's a lot to read into that as well. Torrid first half of the fight.
Absolutely, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I actually thought it was a good performance to come back from what he come back from. I think the first round he was really badly hurt. Second round, we thought he was going to be out there, and every round we were sitting at ringside when we were out in Saudi, and I thought he's got to go, he's going to go, and then he showed remarkable powers of recovery to come back from the way that he come back and fight himself back into the fight and get a well-earned draw told me that he's still got a lot left, and he can still recover when he's badly hurt. He knows how to survive, he knows how to get through those rough patches, and that may need to be needed in this contest with Dillian Whyte. You know, and you're right, Tony, about what you were saying about Dillian being, because he does throw a laboured jab sometimes, and he has got to be careful with that looping right hand over the top, and he's also got to be careful. Dillian's good defensively with that left hook. That's when he's dangerous. Yeah, it's when he's dangerous, when he's under pressure with that. Whereas Alexander Povetkin is dangerous with it off the lead. So they've got different types of left hooks. They're dangerous at different times. Yeah, he proved to me out in Saudi that he's still a big danger. He's got ambition, and what I liked from what Dillian Whyte said today was that he said that listen, the last hurdle can always be. It can sometimes be the hardest one to get over. He's not looking past Alexander Povetkin because he knows that he's bringing his A game. He knows that he's coming in tremendous shape. We've been here all week, and like listening to him do the workouts, the public workouts. We've been sitting outside because some of the workouts we've not been able to come in and watch him, and you can hear the doof, 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 doof. You know when you, Tony, you know the sharpness of the punch. You know that you're going, yeah, it sounds like he's bang on it, and that's what I was sensing there. I went, you know, Dillian recognises he's in a serious fight. He really does.
He's got pedigree, and that's something that, you know, you just can't beat. And at the highest levels, he has pedigree at every single level of the sport. As an amateur, he's renowned, European, world amateur champion, Olympic gold medalist. Comes into the pro game, and he's been a world champion. He's mixed it with everyone and anyone of the last decade in heavyweight boxing. He is a force on his day. I just think, as time's gone on and the heavyweight division has become more popular, but also now the guys are just getting bigger. And the guys, you know, we're never going to see it because it would make a farce of the professional game, but there is literally a heavyweight division and a super heavyweight division, and I just think he borders on the natural heavyweight division of the old school generation. Don't get me wrong, he carries a punch, he is dangerous, but I just think that's going to be early doors. I don't see that coming into play later on in the fight. And with the shape Dillian's in, as I've said before, I touched on it, and I said Dillian's three things that are very important for a heavyweight. He's big, he's strong, and one of the biggest factors in everything, he's brave. He's brave without doubt, but so is this man brave as well. They've both been known to get up off the floor from knockdowns, carry on fighting. I just can't see how this fight doesn't tick all the boxes and be an absolute trench war.
What about age? You both will have changed the way you trained as you got older.
Both
Heavyweight,
wiser for that.
Yeah. I mean, that's very, very true. You learn as you get older, and you learn more about your body as you get older. Heavyweights can go on longer, but will there be, I don't know, ways in which he's changed as he's grown?
Well, I just think it's the way you adapt. We saw it with Floyd Mayweather Jr., didn't we? When he was growing through the weights and he was getting older, as he got wiser and he adapted his style and he made it effective. And that's exactly what Alexander Povetkin's done. He's adapted his style. Yeah, of course, when you get older, you might be slightly off the pace, so you do things differently. You change things, and that's what I said. He's very patient. He's got an amazing boxing IQ, and he'll take his time and he'll get the distance right, and then he'll get the timing right. And that's what he's done. He's adapted, and that's why he's still at the top of the game. I agree with Tony. You know, the heavyweights now have grown. They're bigger. They're more athletic. You know, so you know. Alexander Povetkin looks like sort of a cruiserweight. When you look at him in the shape, when he's walking past you think, wow, really a heavyweight? Yeah. You know, and that may be the telling factor, that he may be just too small, and that might be the difference, but he's dangerous, and he's still alive, and forget the age thing, because he's adapted to that, and he's changed his style, and he's made it effective.
What about the Alexander Povetkin that fought AJ, that looked so dangerous in that end of that first round, if you remember? What did you make of him that night?
I thought he was very good that night, but let's not forget it wasn't 100% AJ. I also knew in the background that he wasn't well. Robert McCracken didn't want to go ahead that night, but AJ goes ahead and does it anyway. But you know, at the end of the day, they get in the ring, they fight, and he puts on a brave, valiant display. So it was a really good fight. It'll be interesting to see how he starts this fight.
I can see that Alexander's looking for somewhere to skip. Is it not enough space?
No, actually, where
The mat.
Where we're staying, okay.
The mat.
If you can, guys, move.
Yeah, bear with us live on this stream. Alexander Povetkin gets what he wants, and we're not going to argue with him, put it that way. Sorry, Tony, you were saying there...
Yeah, he just Word the question again, and I'm punchy, don't forget.
The night at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, I thought he prepared very well. He looked in great shape. He actually maybe looks a bit lighter than he was then, even. But you know, as I'll touch on, it's in my opinion. Well, I do. Nobody really knows what AJ got him doing that night. He wasn't well, and he found a way. And I think it was a huge relief when the punch came through. I remember just looking at Robert McCracken, and he said to me after it, I didn't want this to go ahead, but you know, AJ doesn't want to pull out a fight, and that's the way it goes.
I mean, you touched on the weight thing there, and he does look very lighter than he was. He's definitely lighter than when he boxed AJ. He definitely he's lost a lot of weight. Do you put that down to being the last roll of the dice? He knows he's been given this opportunity, right? It's like now he can go and nick that pot of gold. He can nick that, and all of a sudden he finds himself in a position where he could be fighting for the undisputed title. He could be boxing AJ. He puts him right back in the mix, because not only does he take the WBC interim title and the WBC diamond belt, but he gets that mandatory position. So like, he knows it's the last roll of the dice at this level. And you can tell that by looking at his body shape. I thought that when we first saw him on Monday or Tuesday. He's left nothing to chance. You're going to see the best Povetkin that you've probably seen in a few years. You know, I think it's a dangerous fight for Dillian. It really is.
I've been watching this lad for the best part of 10, 15 years throughout the amateurs and the pros, Andy, and I've never seen him look so sleek. Never. And that's including his days when he was the Russian amateur champion, when he was the world champion, when he was the Olympic gold medalist. He was called when we were on the camps, and you'd see him come across with a Russian tank. It doesn't look like a tank, you know, he looks like a nice, sleek boxer. That's what he looks like now. But listen, that could all change. He's gonna, in my opinion, this is he's drinking in Last Chance Saloon, in the Last Chance of Bar Saloon, so he's got it all to do. But as Spencer touched on, he will look at this as he can gate crash the party. Dillian's a big name on the world stage now. This is for basically the next shot to WBC.
Ring Magazine have Dillian at the moment at number 3 heavyweight in the world. You know, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about him, Tone, elevating him right back up in the rankings. And when you're at that stage of your career, the twilight of your career, and you've just come off a draw against Michael Hunter, come back from the brinks of defeat, he's in no man's land, and all of a sudden the phone rings. Hello, yes please, and you take that opportunity and you grab it with both hands, because it won't come again. No. Do you know what I mean? And when the fighter's in that position, Tone will know better than anyone. When you're in that position, you get that opportunity, you try and grab it with both hands, and that makes any fighter a dangerous fighter.
And he has done, because he's in shape. Worry, don't you, when some fights get the call late notice, or if this had been put together in like 5 or 6 weeks, you'd worry, is he in shape? Yeah. But this has been planned for a long time. Yeah. So he's in shape, he's prepared, he's ready. And the best part about it is, so is Dillian. Yeah. Dillian's been in Portugal 12 weeks, months on end, training camps. These two guys are in the absolute, I don't want to say peaks and prime, but what they're in is they're in the best shape that they could possibly be in. They've had a full camp, there's no excuses. Saturday night, I think this is fight of the night. This is, for me, is the one that's just going to tick all the boxes, and I can't see anything but golden guts meat.
If you're Dillian Whyte, would you have taken this chance?
Yes.
And just explain why you haven't.
I'd take this because he's done it his whole career. But if you're asking, would I personally have took the chance?
I'm asking more. If you want to stay active,
if I'm Dillian, yes.
Why not?
Taking easy enough, because they're the ones where you can really slip up. He knows what he's getting into. He's nervous. He's apprehensive,
and he's also gaining a lot of credibility by doing this. Like Dillian says, like, is this pressure to you? He said, my life's been pressure. Look at the guy's life. Look at the backstory. You've got to understand where he comes from, what he's been through to get where he's got to. So it's just another stepping stone for him. Like, for the normal person, for anyone, you go, why would you risk that? Put all that on the line. Why would you risk that? But actually, he just sees it as another fight, but a fight which gains him more credibility, you know, gains more fans, because people go, wow, this geezer taking a fight of this magnitude.
He also touched on what I said, Dillian today, when Dillian said, he said to Dillian, it's just another fight. To Dillian, he doesn't care about belts. He said Dillian only cares about getting his world title shot, and until it's the world title shot, it's just another fight. Sure. And he said, maybe I could have took an easier fight, but that's the one where I would slip up. As he touched on, he said he's apprehensive into this fight. He knows what he's up against. It's not like it's not a domestic grudge match where he's needed to draw upon different things, energies like against Delboy or Ian Lewison. This one is he's going in against a quality operator, a fella who's known worldwide, globally, has been a world champion. It's purely just about the fight, nothing about being fighting for a world title. No, it's just purely about him against him. And that's what everyone's looking forward to. As I say, I just can't see anything but an absolute war between the two, because they know no other way.
Yeah, sure.
He can box. He's shown us that he can box over the years, but since he's been a professional, he's been a fighter that just wants to walk. He wants to get rid of his fights, he wants to go through them. And Dillian can't help himself. Dillian's going to get hit on the chops on Saturday, and he's going to go, "I'll show you."
Yeah. You know, I think Dillian also gave us a lovely quote today, and a quote that I was so pleased to hear when he said it. He said that, actually, he said, you know, I know that it's a risky fight, I know it's a dangerous fight, and he goes, and I also know that, you know, I could fall at the final hurdle. So what he was trying to say in that quote was, he goes, the final hurdle can be the most difficult sometimes. Yeah. So what he was saying there was, I know I've got a live opponent in front of me. I'm taking nothing lightly. So it tells me his mindset will be right on the night, and it has to be, because this guy's definitely come. Look at him. He's lost. You know, it's the best I've seen him for years. It's the best I've seen him for years.
Interesting to see his approach.
Just bear with us, waiting for our colleagues at Sky Sports News to join our stream. So if I pause, that's the reason why. Just briefly, I spoke to Povetkin's team earlier. Just said, has anybody ever tried to smack talk him? Has anybody ever tried to, you know, rough him up at a press conference? And they all laughed and said, no one would ever try.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it went through Dillian Whyte's mind of, doesn't need to do it perhaps, but...
I'll tell you what would be difficult. To try and get inside his head or rough him up, because he's emotionless. He gives you nothing. He shows you nothing. Poker faced, doesn't say anything. Very quiet when he does. When he speaks to his interpreter, he says very little. How can you poke that fire? You can't do that. You know, like you know, you can't get under someone's skin when he doesn't give you the opportunity to do that. You know. Speaking as an ex-fighter, yeah, you can't.
You made no secret of, though, that you very much enjoyed when somebody engaged your that side of you and pressed your buttons. It fired you up, made you train harder, made you more ferocious.
Not train harder, but it made me more want to hate them. So when I fought Usyk, I knew he could speak and understand English, and the worst thing is I couldn't have any banter. If I could have got a dialogue with him, I'd have been able to maybe get into him a little bit more, but I had no dialogue with him because he couldn't speak English, and that was a big factor. To say Dillian, you know, I think he understands English better than people are letting on.
I think there's a little bit of truth there, you know, but I tell you what, Tony disguises it well, because he's so poker faced, and we've done him on a number of occasions now. And I've never seen anything different. He's never given me anything different. He's very hard to read, and he's hard to read outside the ring, but he's also hard to read inside it. Because of that, he carries that into the ring.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Welcome to Brentwood. You can see Alexander Povetkin is just going through his media routine here. Tony Bellew and Spencer Oliver have been watching on intently. Tony, what have you made of what you've seen so far?
He looks in shape. He looks in fantastic shape. He's here to fight. You know, this guy is a man who's been there, seen and done it all, Andy. You know, former European, world, Olympic champion, being a world champion, and has fought every top heavyweight of the last decade. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table to Dillian Whyte on Saturday night. Dillian looks in fantastic shape. These guys have both had ample amount of time to prepare. They both look in great shape. I mean, I'll be honest, it's the lightest I've seen Povetkin in the whole time I've ever seen him, and that includes amateur. So that's basically 15 years. And this is the lightest and best in shape I've seen him. He looks slim and trim. He looks like a slick boxer. But you know, his former nickname as an amateur was the Russian Tank. And I can't believe the difference in him. He looks like a sleek, fast cruiserweight. And Dillian looks in great shape. So I just can't see anything but an absolute barn burner on Saturday night. Just do not miss it, guys.
Spencer, you've obviously spent time around Alexander, and
Yeah.
whilst he hasn't sort of taken that top off yet and revealed the torso, can't deny that he does look in shape. Just compared to what you saw in Dillian Whyte yesterday, who looks like he's shed an incredible amount of weight compared to what we saw him in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Alexander looks in good shape. That's a positive sign so far.
Absolutely. Listen, he doesn't just look in good shape, he's in great shape. I've been here all week, and yeah, what we've seen is he looks great. He's come here. Look, it's the last roll of the dice for Alexander Povetkin, as in at this level. He's been gifted this. You know, Dillian Whyte's given the opportunity to box for the WBC Diamond, WBC interim title. It's all on the line. So all of a sudden he can see that pot of gold and he's got a chance to nick it. Now that's, when you're a guy that's in the twilight of his career like Alexander Povetkin is, and you get offered that, you're going to give it 100% because you know that it could be the last time that you actually step in the ring. You know, this guy has adapted. He's now 40 years of age and he's adapted. So people go, oh, he slowed down at 40, but he hasn't. All he's done is adapt his style. He takes his time, he waits for the right opportunity. The guy has competed at the top level as an amateur, competed at the top level as a pro, and he's in great. We've seen him on a number of occasions. He looks in better shape here than he did even when he boxed Anthony Joshua. It's a big opportunity for him, and when the fighter's gifted that, you know, that makes him a dangerous fighter.
You can't see him at the moment. He's just sort of getting ready to get into the ring and do a little bit of shadow boxing. What does he do well, Tony? What can we look out for? I suppose, better question, keys to victory for Alexander Povetkin.
Keys to victory, he's got fast hands. Technically, he's probably a little bit better than Dillian Whyte. And that's purely because of the school and amateur pedigree that he has behind him. He's, you know, not bad footwork. He likes to fight, Andy, and that's his strength. He likes to fight inside, digs really well with the left hook. His right hand over the top is sneaky and dangerous, and he disguises it very well. You know, he waits for any kind of lazy jab, any kind of movement off that left hand, and it comes right over the top. AJ fell for it a couple of times in the fight. Thing with Dillian is Dillian's going to have to be switched on from the word go, and he's going to have to keep that left hand tight. I think the factor going forward in this fight for him is touch him with the jab. It's got to be a quick jab, but the minute the Povetkin steps in, dig him downstairs. You know, his head moves reasonably well. He's trained with Teddy Atlas for a number of years, and Teddy Atlas was massive on getting him to move the head, and Teddy Atlas is a fantastic coach as well, and he's still keeping parts that when he moves, he comes in, he turns his legs and his body. It's not so much of the Tyson movement where it's just side to side, it's all about the feet, how you defend. So you defend our angles, you come around this way, you come around that way, it's little steps back and forward, and that's what Teddy Atlas was working with him on. He's not on board no more, and you can see the change since he's gone. But for me, you know, his keys to victory are make your fast hands work for you and start fast. I don't see him getting stronger as this fight goes on. Dillian Whyte is somebody who's bigger, stronger and heavier, and that shows as fights go on further down, especially in the heavyweight division. If Dillian gets hold of him and leans on him, believe you me, that will play a factor as this fight goes on.
Spencer, do you agree with what you've heard there?
Yeah, totally agree with it. I think that what Alexander Povetkin's done in the twilight of his career, he's adapted his style very well. So he's got a great boxing IQ. He gets the distance well, and as Tony said, he shuffles in with the feet, shuffles out of range with the feet, and he takes his opportunity. He waits, he's patient, he moves that head very well. He uses that lack of height to an advantage. He boxes out with a little crouch style, and he springs out with that left hook where it's dangerous. You're right in what you're saying about Dillian Whyte with he throws that jab and he brings it back to his chest. If he does that, he's setting a trap. He's setting a trap for himself. You know, he's got to be careful of that. There's a number of factors here that Dillian's got to be careful with. That left hook, that's the trap shot. But you're right, Tony. He's dangerous with that right hand over the top as well.
Everybody who fights Povetkin, Spencer, they always have to punch down.
Yeah, and that's dangerous.
The minute you punch down on an opponent, it leaves you wide open to heavy counters. And that's what he'll be looking for. He'll be looking for a lazy jab that's coming down towards him. And as I say, he's in the crouch position, Andy. So then he will look to come straight over the top. And, you know, look where his hands always are. They're by his face, they're covered in his chin. He gives you his forehead. Because he wants you to nail his forehead, maybe with your knuckles, so your hands fall apart. That's the hardest part of the head, is the forehead. It's the thickest part of the skull. So, you know, he's vastly experienced. This guy's been there, seen it and done it. He's fought Klitschko, he's fought the AJs, he's been on the big stage. This is nothing new to him. Coming into this camp and this atmosphere will be new to all of the fighters. It's not new to him. He's been in the middle of Ukraine in the woods, mate. in a log cabin, because I was there as well.
Yeah.
And you do training camps there, and you're sparring 5 times a day. You're getting punched all over the place. You're eating ham and cheese for breakfast. This atmosphere and this environment is not new to him. He's been here and seen this, so there's nothing that will shock him. He'll come in here today, loosen up. He's not going to start going full pelt at all, and that he's not supposed to, if I'm being totally honest. We're supposed to just see a guy come in here, you know, let the blood flow, get the oxygen into his lungs, and that's about it. But as you can see, everything always starts from a lower position and he finishes up high. Because guys are so used to punching down at him, to give when your hands are down here, to give you the opportunity to come over the top all the time.
Spencer, Tony, thank you very much. Let's just finish with Alexander Povetkin going through his media workout here. Okay, for everyone on the stream, that was just our colleagues at Sky Sports News joining us there. Technical schooling from an amateur point of view, Olympic gold medals don't grow on trees. You have to be very technically sound. Do you see ways in which he's adapted that style to suit his pro game, or do you see a technically schooled amateur that won Olympic gold?
I think he's technically still very schooled, and that's what we was talking about, which you're not going to see here in the shadowboxing. But he's great at shuffling his feet in range and just out of range, and that sets himself up. Like I said, the timing creates the speed creates the power. It all comes as one. If one of those elements is out, it's like a domino effect. They all fall, and everything falls out of place. But this guy's got the complete package. So yeah, technically he's very good. He does keep those hands high. Lack of height is very good. Uses that to his advantage. There's that trademark left hook, and he'll be looking to counter that when Dillian throws those jabs. If Dillian throws a lazy one, he'll be looking to come over the top with those shots. So what I'm seeing here is impressive stuff. It's what we expected. But yeah, it's nice.
His whole career.
Sorry, Tony, I'm just going to bring Adam Smith in there. Come back to you. This is our first chance on fight week to actually see him doing a workout, see him throwing some punches. They've been doing all their training sessions late at night or early in the morning, so we haven't had the privilege of seeing anything. But he is actually showing us something here. What are you seeing, Adam?
I've seen Alexander Povetkin many times over many years. I mean, this is a guy, as Tony rightly said, who won everything as an amateur. You know, Olympic gold medal, World Championships, a couple of European golds. I think he was 125-7 in the amateur ranks, and he avenged every one of his defeats. He's you know, he's got huge pedigree, amazing experience. He's been in with everybody. But, you know, he is 40, and I thought the fight with Michael Hunter in Saudi was I thought he was lucky to get away with the draw. There were signs there that he came back well, he came back strongly. He's got huge ambition. He's whipped himself into shape for, I think, one last big hurrah, one last big assault on the heavyweight division. I worry slightly about the size. I agree with Tony. I think that Dillian's now lean and fit and will come in somewhere between 17.5 and 18 stone, and he'll have a big weight advantage down the stretch. So for me, it's all about the first 6 rounds for Povetkin. I think he's got to get in, he's got to be fast, and I think he's got to, you know, win rounds, and I think he's got to, you know, hopefully hurt Whyte early, because a little bit like he did with AJ, but I fear for him down the stretch with the legs at 40 now. But he's got one more chance, and he's an old campaigner. He's an experienced, accomplished, and you know, he's been an exceptional heavyweight over many years. I just wonder if the timing might be right for Dillian at 32, fresh off a training camp in Portugal. You know, he's going to have to be very careful. I think the left hook is just the weapon. I think the big right hand as well. I think that he's going to look to try and catch and disorientate Whyte with those short hooks around the temple. Look, he's dangerous. We know that, and you know, this is a big fight for him, for Dillian.
Let's just go to some of the comments that are coming in on the stream. Povetkin is 41, but he lives the life, so he's got another couple of years left in the tank. He's in with a good chance on Saturday. Yeah, agree with that. I think we all do. Take risks, says left hook night. I mean, you could be, you haven't said a name there, but you could apply that to either guys. Both have good left hooks. Ruiz would beat Whyte. Matthew Wren. Which Ruiz is that? Andy Ruiz Jr., presume. Don't know about that.
No.
Dillian Whyte.
Rich overnight, and then just showed.
I hope Dillian Whyte is watching this. I don't know if he will. He's in his Winnebago just outside playing on his Xbox, I think.
Looks pretty chill, doesn't he? Dillian,
Yeah.
on that Winnebago.
Age will play a big part. Kadir Nawaz, yeah, possibly. Younger, fresher man, or experience, we don't know.
You can't really do, I know that everyone's touching on age, but in the heavyweight division, Andy, they've always gone on longer because the fights aren't as, and during the fights aren't as so demanding in the heavyweight division. The pace is slow, you don't take as much damage. It's not like he's a featherweight and he's 40, or a middleweight and he's 40.
But his style, he's a small heavyweight, he needs his hand speed and he needs his legs. And if he's got that package together still at this stage, then he's got every chance.
But I think, you know, what he proved in that fight last time with Michael Hunter out in Saudi is that he is still dangerous, and any heavyweight that's dangerous can be a problem, you know.
Well,
so you've got to keep yourself. Yeah, of course. I mean, we broke
He
down.
proved that against Price, against Joshua
Absolutely.
early, you know, and he beat Hughie Fury. So this is a guy still in form.
Absolutely. You know, you got look, recent form suggests that he does still bring something to the table. You know, this is not a foregone conclusion for Dillian Whyte by any means, any stretch of the imagination. This is a tough fight. It's a dangerous fight.
Lots of people saying Povetkin will stop him early. This guy's going to win. I hate to say it, but Povetkin is going to win. I can just see it. Just can't see Whyte winning. That's from Tangy Whitey.
You can't knock anybody's claims because of what he purely on what he's done and what he's achieved. So of course he's in with a shout, but the odds are in Dillian Whyte's favour massively, purely based on his most recent form, the way he's improved since that loss to AJ and how he's bounced back and where he's gone from there. And then ultimately when it just comes down to pure sheer size.
I agree with him that the best chance is early for Povetkin. I think that's absolutely right. Maybe.
47 minutes away. Povetkin is going to stop Whyte in 9.
He's only got stronger in one fight over the past how many years, and that was the Michael Hunter fight. And the only reason he got stronger was because
Started
just let him
tiring.
get into it.
Hunter started tiring, and realistically,
I still felt Hunter won that fight.
Let's be honest. That Hunter's a cruiserweight though. When we was out there, he was eating to make heavyweight. He was walking around at like 14 stone 6, 14 stone 7, something like that. So we've got to take all those factors into account as well. But this guy is still dangerous. You know, he's got the pedigree, and that makes him dangerous. Of course, White's got the momentum at the moment. He's the one improving all the time. You know, he's still learning. He's at that stage. Alexander Povetkin's not learning anymore.
I mean, he hits fairly hard as well, doesn't he? 25 knockouts and 35 victories. He's a puncher, but I think it's a puncher early, and I think that's where White's got to be careful.
He comes down on that hook. See the way he throws it. He throws it like Golovkin throws it. He throws it like Golovkin throws a shot. They loop it over the top, and Tony, you'll know this. They're very hard to see. You can't see them. They come out of the vision. They go out of the peripheral vision, and he chops down on the shot.
How they've prepared for Dillian Whyte? Who they've sparred with, Tony?
The likes of Derek Chisora. They will want to fight who's big, heavy, and comes to have a fight. So Derek Chisora, Dave Allen, people of that kind of ilk. They throw that left hook to land with the first two knuckles, and it lands at a point where it comes around and down. It's the hardest part of your fist, that first two knuckles. So as I say, all the Russian boys were doing that when we were amateurs. We go on training camps over there, and every one of them would be, I would throw our hooks with the side of the fist. They would always come up, round and loop and bring it round. It's such a dangerous punch. We've seen Golovkin do it to a number of opponents over the years, render them unconscious by hitting them on the forehead with that hook. It's a strange punch.
Sorry, Spenny. Billy Joe Masterclass. Dillian Whyte has never fought anybody with the style of Povetkin, whereas Povetkin has fought many styles like Dillian Whyte. That's something that other people have said as well. Agree or disagree?
I think that there's a element of truth in that. I'm just picking up on what's going on here. When you look at fighters and you see them hitting the pads, whether they're doing it at a light level, this or whatever, I'm looking at his feet, his position of his feet when he's throwing his shots, the way the shots are sounding when they're hitting the pads. He sounds very sharp. He sounds like, you know, the is good. Everything's on point. That's what makes him dangerous, you know.
They've been experienced enough to both come across these styles.
Of course.
There's things that Povetkin does, Dillian's for, so there's things in the fight that Povetkin will want to do, that Del Boy done, the things that Povetkin will want to do, that Joseph Parker done. The same with Rivas. So all of them, you know, Rivas is similar to him, but Rivas is a bit more explosive.
He's never fought as decorated a fighter as Alexander Povetkin. That's the one thing that, you know, this guy was.
Or a technician as good as him.
No. I mean, Joshua's probably the closest, Dillian. You know, Joseph Parker, yes, and Oscar Rivas, a very good fighter, but with the sort of ability, natural ability that Povetkin had as a young man, especially, and that he's taken through. I don't think he's been in with anyone quite as.
The thing with the AJ fight, it turned into a street fight, didn't it, guys? So it wasn't all the boxing ability and all the technical side went out the window. He nailed him in that second round. He rocks AJ to his boots. AJ just wants to wipe him out, and it turns into a scrap. So, but they're things that you will draw back on. And I think I've gained great experience and momentum from that. I say, and now what I will say about Dillian is his experience over these last 3 or 4 years. He's had to go down in a number of fights, and he's had to get himself back up.
He's more patient now, Dillian. When he was, you've got to remember, he's 32 years of age, but he's not really been boxing that long. He come from a kickboxing background, didn't have a lot of amateur fights, had 7 amateur fights or something. So he's learning on the job. He's still improving. The momentum's improving every time he fights. But what I've noticed about Dillian in his recent fights is that he's more patient. He waits for his opportunity. He doesn't go in there, like you're saying, like wanting just to have a street fight. If he gets tagged, he's thinking, right, I've got to tag you back. He's patient now. If you get hit as a boxer and you get caught with a good shot, bang, you got to put that out of your mind. That's gone. It's history. Because as soon as you start thinking about that, your game plan goes out the window, and all of a sudden you're having a street fight, which is not the game. Dillian's learnt that. I think that's what he's learning now at this stage.
That's come with maturity. You know, as we touched on before, he has to come into this fight and show the form that he showed in the likes of the Rivas fight, in the Parker fight, and in parts of the AJ fight when he was winning. He has to show that. As I say, he's come, in my opinion, he's the most improved heavyweight in the last 3 or 4 years. Since that AJ defeat, he's came back stronger, and he looks at like a completely different fight. I mean, who would have thought?
I think he's learning fight by fight. I think if you take Saudi away, I think that was just. I don't think you can read anything into the Saudi performance against Marius Vac, but I think if you take everything from Joshua up to that point, I think he's improved dramatically as a fighter.
Quite a nice slide. Everyone's talking about Povetkin's left hook and overhand right. I think that cheeky left uppercut that Povetkin throws will be Whyte's biggest problem. We saw him open to it in the Rivas fight.
I had a good phone call literally before we came out here from Joseph McAnally, who trains David Price. He was training Alexander Povetkin for the fight, and he said to me, who is Povetkin turned up with as his head coach? Has he got the little older guy with him, or does he got the big guy with the muscles with him? And I said, I'm not too sure, I'll go and find out. And I think he has both of them with him, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're both.
He says to me, if the little guy's with him, believe you me, he's taking this 100% seriously. He said he turned up at the Hughie Fury fight with the big guy without the little guy, and he'd done the same with the Michael Hunter fight. The little guy wasn't supposed to be there. So I don't know how right that is, but that's the information that he gave me.
But this is also last chance saloon for Alexander Povetkin. If he gets knocked out on Saturday night, it's over for him. He knows that, and he wants one more shot at the world title. Former world champion, of course, with good defences before he fought Vladimir Klitschko to unify, and that just was a very poor night for him.
He's beat some great names, hasn't he? He's beat Shagev.
Shagev, Marco Herc, he's beaten Carlos Takam.
Marco Herc,
yeah.
But in recent times, he's beat good people as well. Like Hughie Fury's a difficult guy to box. He's a boxer of tricks. And David Price is a big guy, a strong guy. And Price had him in all sorts of trouble, and he showed those powers of recovery again to turn it around and end up winning the fight.
I just think we've seen better years from him. And when I look at him today, I just feel you just don't. When I remember the very first time I ever seen him, he was such an imposing figure. I remember walking through the hotel. I think I was coming to Bulgaria, and he just went, "Oh, yeah, here's the Russian tank," and I was like, look at him. But he's just, as I say, he's a phenomenon to be still going at the age he's going at and looking in as good a shape. But for me, just he looks a little bit different than when I've seen him since the amateur days, and the Russian tank is his name. I don't see that right now.
Okay,
light.
Adam.
A slick boxer.
Sorry to butt in, guys. We were privileged enough to be invited in to watch this session. I've been told in no uncertain terms they're going to finish their seat. That's it. The international language of that's enough now. So he's going to do his last full session of the camp now. So they're going to boot us out, shut the doors, and he's going to work hard. Final thoughts from the three of you of what you've seen here, very briefly.
I'm very impressed in what I've seen. He looks sharp, he looks on point, he looks like he's got a game plan, and it makes him dangerous. And it's the last roll of the dice. Impressed.
It's definitely the last roll of the dice. He's going to be dangerous, certainly first few rounds. And listen, it's fantastic that we're getting this access up close and personal to these heavyweights. It's incredible.
cameras turned round straight away. His feet have speeded up twice the speed. So yes, you know, his feet do look quick, and he, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, he looks in phenomenal shape. I'm expecting Alexander Povetkin to try and turn back the years on Saturday night and give us the very best that he's got. And if he does turn back the years, guys, you're in for a hell of a fight.
Gentlemen, thank you all very much for joining us. Thank you all very much for joining us on the stream. Thanks for all the comments. Join us tomorrow. It's the weigh-in. You don't want to miss it.